Awesome. Hello, 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 everyone. My name is Erin Brown. Let's talk. Today we have Mr. Mills Rodgers, Mr. Rodgers in the building. Um, Author, speaker, just an all-around amazing human being. I'm not gonna butcher up your bio and your about me, so I'll let you go ahead and do that and share a little bit about yourself with us.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. Yes, the real Mr. Rogers. I spelled my name with a D. That's how it's supposed to be spelled. So, so yeah, thank you for having me. A little bit about myself. I'm an author and speaker on social emotional learning, emotional intelligence, and a supporter of special education. So, a little bit about myself. Quick bio. I served 5 years in the Army as a mental health specialist. Upon leaving the military, I became a teacher, something that I never ever thought I would do because my mom tried to nudge me in the direction of being a teacher. And I was like, nah, I can't do that. But maturity and having a family and everything pushed me in that direction. And so I taught for 15 years. And during that time, I had some ups and downs, but I really enjoyed the experience of just interacting with students over the years because, as a teacher, especially middle school and high school, you're meeting, 100, 150 kids every year. You're interacting with them every day, 9 months out the year. And so I really, really treasure those moments because you think about it, after 15 years, that's at least 1,500 kids that are now adults and they got families themselves. In fact, today I was at Taco Bell and a student was like, "Hey, didn't you teach at Roosevelt High School?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And, of course I was in the car. I didn't have a mask on, but she had her mask on. I'm like, "What's your name?" And she told me her name and I'm like, "Oh, wow, that's so cool." So cool. And I was a little embarrassed because I had it was in the morning. Well, it wasn't in the morning, but it was the
Was this
middle of the
after your workout?
It was after my workout, yeah. And so, but I kind of cleaned up, but I had my stocking cap on, trying to get the hair looking right, get the waves looking right and stuff. So I was like, oh
Absolutely.
man, it's one of my ex-students seeing me with my not do-rag, but my stocking cap. And
Yeah.
the funny thing is they used to joke with me a lot about that. Like, Mr. Roger, you got waves and stuff. What you do for that? And so I was caught in the act this
Yeah.
morning, or this afternoon, well, this midday. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing, that, as these students have gotten older and, they're in the community now working. And so that's pretty common for me to run into former students. And it's just really cool because, to know that I had a little piece of impact on them, at
Yeah.
some point. So yeah, I taught for 15 years and then toward the end of that, I started getting interested in speaking. And so I gravitated toward doing, motivational type speaking and writing a book. And voila, here I am in 2020. And so
Like
I can
magic.
always go deeper into that. But, I know you got questions to ask. So I'm going to let
Awesome.
you do your thing.
Thank you so much.
Hmm.
Awesome. Okay, so let's start with your time as an educator and um what what motivated you to continue educating when you hit those roller coasters that they were going up and then they just went down? Like what kept you motivated and sticking with it?
Well, I enjoyed it. And I mean, what's basically what I'm doing right now. I'm still doing education, as a speaker and as an author. It's just
Mm,
a different platform. And so it's just something I enjoy because, I knew I was having an impact and I knew I was needed. And so, I always understood the big picture.
yeah.
I understood the big picture that, this is what I'm destined to do. And so that's what kept me going. And I always believed in myself too. And yeah, when other people didn't believe in me, I still believed like, what, there's something better in store for me. Just keep pushing, just at least make it through the day. There's something better in store for me. And, I'm destined to find it. I don't know how. And trust me, at the time I had no clue that I was going to be speaking or anything. If we had to rewind back to 2014, 2015, I had no clue that I'd be speaking, be on podcasts with people like you. And, I've traveled the country and everything, but I just knew like, hey, you know what? I got to do what I got to do. There's going to be a breakthrough somewhere. I don't know how. And trust me, I got down on myself day by day. And there was times I was, like I said, I even cried, when things didn't go my way. But it's like, you know what? I got to keep fighting, because guess what? If I quit, I sure as hell I'm not going to accomplish anything. But if I keep going, something can happen. So that's always been my attitude.
Gotcha. So how was vulnerability?
I can't hear you.
How about now?
I can't hear you.
No.
You're very, very low.
Testing, testing.
Yeah, I still can't hear you.
Gotta love this. How about now?
I can hear you a little better, but it's not as clear as it was before.
It's not as clear.
No.
How about now?
There you go. That's
Okay.
better.
Okay. I just, Cedric Edison just made a post and said, "Hey, what did he say? I'm gonna butcher this like a mug, but he said something about life is like a kitchen. It's awesome to make meals, but if you want to make better meals, you're gonna have to upgrade. I'm gonna have to get some upgraded headphones. Definitely, definitely. Okay, but how was vulnerability in that time in your life? Did you embrace it? Did you kind of move away from it? What was going on at that time when it comes to vulnerability and putting yourself out there?
Well, I guess being a teacher at the time, you have to be careful with what you share. And so, I always try to be empathetic and understanding to my students. At the same time, you have to be, like I said, just careful with what you're putting out there to students, because sometimes they can take it the wrong way. But you know what, as I grew, I started to, especially working in the high school setting. Now, middle school, like I said, I had to be very, very guarded
Yes.
with what I shared. But high school, as I got more, got to understand the students more, I was able to share a little bit more with them. And they were, the type of relationships I had with them, they're like, oh, wow, Mr. Rodgers, man, that's tough. Or,
Yeah.
I feel for you or whatever. I mean, they were always real respectful of that. It wasn't something like, oh, we're going to use that against you now. We're going to go post it on social media. And then, of course, again, you still have to have that. You still have to be selective with what you share. But like, for example, I shared some challenges I would have with my oldest daughter, who has severe autism.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something I never had shared with anyone. But I'd say in my last 2 years of teaching, I started sharing those things, and the students were great. It's just really heartwarming just to hear, and it kind of even chokes me up a little bit now, to kind of hear how they're so supportive of that. Like, that's tough, and I feel for you, and just hang in there, sir. I mean, I don't know, it's just, to me, it's so
Encouragement, like,
yeah.
just to keep going, and
Mm-hmm.
that's always good to be able to connect with your students
Mm-hmm.
on a not a super personal level, but you have an understanding of your teacher, and at the end of the day, we're all human.
Exactly.
So it's really, really good to have that connection and be able to build that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay, so tell me a little bit about your time you spent in the military. But before you do that, I just want to thank you for your service. You said it was 5 years, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Absolutely.
So my time in the military, I joined the military because I just wanted a change. I had a young family at the time, and I was just unhappy with what I was doing. I was working as an assistant manager at Foot Locker
Okay.
back in the day.
All the
And
kicks.
yeah, all the kicks. I mean, that's kind of the cool part of it. You see, you see all the Jordans and everything, and
Yeah.
you meet cool people that come in the store and stuff. Like, had a chance to meet like Lil Wayne and Cash Money. Lil Wayne was
Wow.
kind of like the afterthought at the time, though.
Yeah.
he wasn't even big, but and a lot of
That's
athletes.
crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. A lot of athletes, that were in the, playing college ball or even went on to the NFL or NBA. But I didn't like it. That just wasn't me. I just wasn't into peddling shoes. And
Yeah.
so I joined the military. And here's the crazy thing is that if I would have stuck around another month or two, I probably would have been promoted to manager of a store.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't something that was very fulfilling. So I went into the military as a mental health specialist. And, I can't say that I was in love with the military. I wasn't G.I. Joe or anything like that. I wasn't all gung-ho. But it did teach me some great lessons, and it gave me some great opportunities. One of the lessons that it taught me, and I always share it in my talks, is that it really showed me what it meant not to quit. Going through basic training and everything, I learned what it really meant to put forth effort, because prior to the military, and I always share this in my presentation, I was a quitter. Your boy was a quitter. And I wasn't a failure. Don't get it twisted. I wasn't a failure because I'd been to college and, I was a productive citizen, but I wasn't living up to my potential, because every time something would get hard, going in a different direction.
You stop.
Stop.
Yeah. Okay.
I always found a different way to go instead of like, hey, let's just push through.
Yeah.
And so the military was the first time that it wasn't an easy out. Yeah, you can quit, but, they're not going to just say, okay, here's your keys, go back home, when you're in basic training. It's the process. And so, I had to push through, and then I ended up being successful, with some of the skills. I was like, wow, I didn't know how to do this. And now I'm one of the best in my unit at it. And so it taught me about not quitting. And then, I was able to progress in the military pretty fast for the amount of time that I was in. Then I went to leadership school and came out first in my class.
That's awesome.
And so, it was a real good confidence builder, like, wow, I did that. That's one of the biggest achievements I had. And I mean, my unit was real proud, like, wow, we sent you to leadership school and you're the top. It's like, that's rare for because I was in the medical field.
Yeah.
It's like, that's so rare to send you to primary leadership school and as a medic, a medical soldier, and come back as the head of the class.
Yeah.
And so it was a real big achievement. So that's what the military taught me. It taught me discipline. It also taught me how to juggle many hats at one time. And so that's what I'm saying. Once I left the military, I had the maturity and skill level to say, you know what, I can go into education. So it really helped out a lot.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, again, thank you for your service. Also, that Foot Locker, Lil Wayne is like my spirit animal. When I was younger, I had dreads, and they were like down. They were long, and back when the skinny jeans and Vans were in, and
this is probably even before then.
This was back when really big pants. This was like,
this is like bling bling
bling bling.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
This is.
But I did see, hey, he was right next to me. He came in the store, but like I said, the other ones were more famous at the time. Juvenile. And BG and all of them. And this was in Louisiana, so they were huge. And you know what? I don't even think they had went nationwide yet. I think that was right before.
Before they got big.
Yeah, but I mean, they were huge in Louisiana already because they were hitting all the clubs and stuff, and people were just loving them up. So it was, that's one of my claims to fame.
I was gonna say, that's a nice story to have in your back pocket. That's awesome.
I would always tell my kids that too at school. Like, yeah, I met Lil Wayne.
You always use that. Okay, let's talk your transition from being an educator full time to transitioning into being a speaker. Like, how did that transition go? What was that journey like for you?
All right. The nitty gritty.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. So, like I tell people, man, I never expected to be a speaker, but a seed was planted in 2012 because as teachers, they always having people come and talk to us. And so my principal had been hyping up this one speaker. She was like, man, this guy is great. We're going to get him for our campus, blah, blah, blah. And they finally got him. And I was so underwhelmed by him. And so was the teacher next to me. And she was like, Mills, They paid that man all that money. They could have got one of us to go up there and talk. And I'm like, yeah, they could have. We could have did that. No, I agree with you. And but still, I wasn't even interested in speaking. I was looking to progress, in the education system. But a seed was planted that took a long, 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 long time to sprout.
A lot of watering.
Yeah, a lot of watering. And so, all those years, like I said, I was looking to become an administrator, assistant principal, had lots of disappointments along the way. It was very, very, very frustrating because, again, I believed I had the potential to do it. But, when you go to interviews and everything, you're counting on other people seeing the good in you, seeing your talents. And it was always a better choice for them. You were good, Mr. Rodgers, but we're going in a different direction. And, I heard that several times. You're not the right fit. Okay.
Yeah.
What can you do? And so it just got to a point where, I started, I also wanted to make some extra money. And so I started looking at some other things. At first, I was looking at teen life coaching. And then it just I was setting myself up for that. But then it gradually transitioned over to speaking. I'm like, you know what? I could speak. I'm not afraid to speak to groups. I feel comfortable doing it, even though I would consider myself an introvert. I feel comfortable doing it. It's never been a problem for me. And I've always gotten good feedback when I've done like trainings at school or something like that. So late 2016, early 2017, I started looking at speaking, and I said, you know what, I can speak on special education because I've been a special ed teacher, and my oldest daughter is special needs. And so I think that's a pretty unique perspective I can bring.
Great skill sets.
Exactly. Yeah. And so 2017, I would say that I launched. I had my first speaking engagement for CASA, which is court appointed advocates. They're representing kids in the foster system. And so a lot of them are diagnosed with special education. And so the advocates needed some education on that. And so I did a presentation in February of 2017. And basically from there, I did a lot of free presentations. I had one paid presentation that year. It was to an elementary school in Dallas, to the faculty. So, 2017 was just a year of learning and everything, lots of trial and error. 2018, started seeing some progress. I started getting a few more paid engagements. I had my first out of state engagement, and I had tears in my eyes. I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm getting on a plane to go speak somewhere, going out of state. And when that plane launched, I was just like, man, I just had, like I said, I just went down in tears. And, but it was a learning experience. And, I had some challenges that year too. But then 2019 rolled around. Oh, by the way, 2018, I put out my book. And so that really helped a lot too.
What's the name of your book?
The first couple editions was Success is a Process, Not an Event. And so, yeah, that was the first and second edition I put out in 2018 and 2019. And so 2019 was a lot of progress. I started tapping into, I started learning more. So I started tapping into certain markets. And come the summer of 2019, I was like, man, this speaking thing is really going in the right direction. And I had to make a decision. And, when the school year ended, I already kind of knew. I was like, man, I'm about 80% not coming back for the next school year. But I just wasn't absolutely certain. But then I had a good number of gigs booked in August when school was supposed to start. And I'm like, you know what, that wouldn't be fair to the students I teach if I'm out that much at the beginning of school.
Yes.
And so I'm like, you know what, I got to make the decision. I know where my heart is. I do not see myself spending another 10 years as a teacher. So why not do it now? It's not going to get any better if I wait.
Yeah.
So why not go for it now? So July 22nd, I called my principal up and I said, you know what, I'm done. I'm not coming back. He's like, come on into the office so that we can do your exit paperwork. Walked into the office, and that was that. And he had known me for a while, but he was like, man, I've never seen you so excited.
Like, you don't know what it is to find your passion.
Yeah. He's
Go
like,
for it.
because he had known me for a while. We had actually worked alongside, but see, he was the one that he made progress. You know, he had made it
Gotcha.
to the position of principal where I was the one that was always being told no.
Yeah.
So we're kind of coming up together, but his career took off, mine didn't. And so he knew me for a while, and he was like, man, I never saw you that excited, you know. And he had known me, like I said, for 10 years,
Hmm.
probably longer than that. And I said, yeah, you know, I'm a little nervous, but, you know, it's just exciting, you know,
Yeah.
to take this leap of faith. And so I did it. And I'd say right now it's worked out, man. A year or so later, it's worked out. You know, I just knew that I knew that, okay, you know what, I've been able to get gigs working at it part-time. So if I could devote more time to it,
You can
I
get
should be
more.
able to get more.
Yeah.
And that was my train of thought. And of course I had some fallback plans if it didn't work out, but you know, I've been blessed to where it has worked out. So
Awesome.
that's kind of my story of how I got into speaking.
Gotcha. Okay. So,
Hmm.
so you had, let me see, I just had a amazing thing right here and it just went away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. No, you're fine. You're fine. Um, what what drove you and what inspired you to write your first book?
Well, I never wanted to write a book. In fact, I tried to avoid it. I really did. I really tried to avoid it because I mean, when I started speaking, I had a couple of people that walked up to me and they're like, "Mills, you know what? You need to write a book."
Hmm.
I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm not into writing like that. I can't see myself writing 40, 50 pages."
Hmm.
Um, but in order, I started learning more about speaking, and yeah, I saw that a book is really an advantage. And so, toward the end of 2017. I had a blog. I had already started a blog, especially when I did it when I was looking to do the life coaching.
Okay.
So I'd already started a blog because I wanted people to see my mindset. Because if I'm going to work with their kids, they got to understand where I'm coming from.
Yes.
And so I'm like, you know what? I got to have a book as a speaker. It does help. And so what I did was I took down the blog and I put all of that into the form of a book.
Hmm.
And, you know, I added some things to it. So it came out to about I don't know how long my book is, 50, 60 pages.
Okay.
And that was the inspiration for my book. But, you know, I tried to avoid it for a long time. But I look, you know, I say success is 3D. You have to have discipline, you have to have discernment, which is good decisions, and you got to be desperate. And so
Desperate.
I got to the desperate point, and I'm like, you know what, I want this speaking thing to work. And so that's where I broke down and wrote the book or did the book.
Gotcha. 3D.
Mhm.
I love that. Can you say that again?
Yeah, 3D success. I need to break out my 3D glasses, but 3D success. You have to have discipline. You have to have discernment, which is good decisions. So you could replace discernment with decisions. And you have to be desperate or have desire. But I like desperate. Desperate just sounds intense.
It's like, oh, I don't have any other options. This has to be it. It's got to work. I'm going to find a way.
Right.
And
Mhm.
desire is more like, yeah, I do like desperate. I like
Mhm.
desperate. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, you got to want it bad.
Yeah. Like
Hmm.
there's no plan Bs. Like this is what it is.
Hmm.
Gotcha. Okay.
Do whatever you got to do to make it happen.
3Ds of success. That was a bar right there. Definitely. Definitely. Um, okay, let's kind of switch gears. I'm gonna ask you just a few more questions. Um, what what is it like being a father with an older child who is disabled?
Well, it changes the dynamic of parenting because, you know, when you get into being a parent, you know, when you decide to be a parent, you're always thinking like, okay, I'm going to raise this kid from a baby up until about the age of 18. And then, you know, everything is geared toward their independence.
Hmm.
Well, when you have a kid with a severe disability, that changes the tone of parent involved. And you're going to have to keep, you know, a closer eye on a lot of things because, you know, that kid is not as aware of certain things, of dangers, of people taking advantage of them. And so that's the challenge right there, in my opinion. Of course, you love them all the same,
Yeah.
but like I said, it takes on a different tone. And, for me as a dad, there's been times that I felt like, man, that's not fair. I see, some guys out there, have a whole bunch of kids, and don't even take care of them.
Not doing what they're supposed to.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
doing what they're supposed to. And I'm like, man, I always wanted to be that involved dad.
Yeah.
I mean, I treasure being a dad. I love it. And to me, it's like, that's sad. These guys be having some beautiful kids. And, I see it at school. Like, man, I look at students, have conversations with them, and I'm like, wow, that's so sad that, this kid is beautiful. This kid is, looks great. They're smart and they're intelligent, and, dad doesn't want to be in their life.
Yeah.
That's a shame, and so that's something that that's an inner battle that I've had from time to time. It's not where I'm saying, oh man, I wish those guys would fall off the cliff or
Yeah.
anything like that. But it's just like, as far as like, fairness, it's like, man, that's just not right.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that perspective. I'm sure that will be beneficial. And again, I love how vulnerable you just were. I don't know if you know that or not, but what you just shared was intimate to you and what's going on in your mind. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. I mean, it's just a growth process, because that's something I recently started sharing, probably like about a month or two ago.
Wow.
Besides that, I never really shared that, but just as part of my growth. And I think, this being blessed in this position, I think it's important to share things like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Um, if we wanted to support you in any way, shape, form, however, how would we go about doing that?
Okay, my Cash App. No, I'm just joking.
I mean,
You, yeah, you can reach out to me at my website, successisaprocess.net. Also, I'm on social media as Rodgers Speaks, RODGERS, and then the word speaks. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, even TikTok. Also, my book, my newest book is You Can Win Being You, which is basically a revision of the Success is the Process books.
Mhm.
But yeah, my newest book is You Can Win Being You. And you can find that on Amazon. Pretty easy to find. They'll ship it to you, Amazon Prime. So yeah, those are some ways that you can support me.
Awesome. Awesome. I want to take this time right now, Mills, to acknowledge you for just being an amazing individual and an upstanding citizen. Like, and you have two girls, right?
Hmm.
You're probably a dope girl dad, aren't you?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. So
In
yes,
fact,
I just
I took my youngest out. That's why I asked to push it back a little bit, because I took my youngest out to, she's trying to play volleyball now. So we were
okay.
outside practicing and
Oh,
stuff.
that's awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah, and you're enjoying that time, aren't you?
Oh man, I love it.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
Awesome. So yeah, I want to acknowledge you for just being amazing. Being able to get in front of whoever it is to share your story, share influence, motivation, and just giving people the tools that they need to succeed being them. So I want to acknowledge you for just being being the original Mr. Rogers with a D.
Thanks.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thanks.
One final question, and then I'm going to release you and let you go into the world. What does Mr. Mills need to live a happy life?
What do I need to live a happy life? Good health, obviously. That's always first, the first priority, because when you have health, then everything else is a little bit easier to handle. And if there's anything else, I don't know. I think I just need to continue doing what I need to do. I mean, I feel blessed. that it's taken many years to find what I really want to do and what I'm passionate about. And so I really don't feel like I need anything else at this point, to be honest with you.
That's awesome. That's
Hmm.
awesome. And I'm just throw a senseless plug in there. Mr. Mills runs his own speakers academy. So
Oh,
I'm
thank you.
just, absolutely. I'm gonna just throw that plug in there. So anyone who is looking to pursue speaking part time, full time, you just want to see if you like it or anything, make sure you contact Mr. Mills so y'all can set up some type of consultation or conversation and see where you go from there. But I just wanted to plug that in real quick.
I appreciate it. And yeah, I will take care of you. Like once you work with me, we are family. You can always connect with me, and I'll share my knowledge with you. And so that's what we're doing right now in that Speaker Academy. And the feedback I'm getting from the people that are in it, they're like, wow, I didn't know this, or I never would have considered this. And so I know there's other people out there that do academies and everything, but hey, I will take care of you. Look, I was a teacher, so I understand what it means to teach.
Don't
Okay,
get much
so
better than that.
exactly. So,
Awesome, awesome. Well, Mr. Mills, I appreciate you for coming through and sharing a little bit of yourself with my tribe.
oh man, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's always a
Absolutely.
blessing to be able to, hopefully inspire people.
Oh, I bet you did. I'm sure you did. You dropped a lot of gems in here. I'm about to go work on my 3D now. So,
Right.
Mr. Mills, you have a wonderful night, okay?
All right, you too. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yo, I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. Mr. Mills an amazing person. We've been in contact over the past several months, and just watching his work ethic and the dog in him is just so ready to go, and I just had to have him on. He talked about the 3 Ds of success: discipline, discernment, and desperation. Like 3 Ds. That's a bar. Those are gems. Write them down and make sure you live by them. Also, Mr. Mills is a speaker. We know that. He was an educator for 15 years, and he also served 5 years in the military. Amazing, amazing stuff. His latest book is called You Can Win Being You, and you can find that on Amazon. And the last little piece of nugget is that Mr. Mills worked at Foot Locker as an assistant manager and met Cash Money back when BG was still out and Juvenile dropping like it's hot. I think it was right before Bling Bling. They blew up with Bling Bling. So I mean, that's always a good story that I know he likes to share with his students and leaders, because that's a great connector right there. Because y'all know, if you know me, you know how I feel about Wayne. So I was like, oh, that Wayne, that's awesome. So, but yes, Mr. Mills is amazing. You can go ahead and follow him on Instagram, Facebook. Go to his website and check out everything he has to offer. If you're looking to become a speaker or you have questions or anything like that, you can also link up with Mr. Mills and get some information on that. I hope, like I said in the beginning, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. So many good information, so much good information, so many tips, so many tricks, and I love his level of vulnerability that he shared his story with us about his eldest daughter. What a blessing that is. Listen, I'm going to tell you this every single time. You are uniquely created. That's my sign off. I think I'm just going to stick with that. You are uniquely created. We'll talk soon.